On this channel, we've featured all sorts of battles involving different kinds of characters, but we've never had one on old characters yet. Sure, we've had some videos on badass moments featuring old characters or showcases of power, but actual battles? Well, that changes today. Today I'm going to be sharing what I think are some of the best fights featuring old characters. Now take note, as usual, there are going to be some occasional spoilers, as these fights oftentimes take place deep into the story. Whitebeard versus the Marines starts the list, and what an establishing moment it was. Amongst One Piece characters, Whitebeard probably has the best reputation and case for being the strongest character in the cast. With a character list that big, that's saying something, isn't it? But this old man has more than proven his worth countless times in the story. He's got some epic fights and all, but there's little that can beat how badass he looked taking on the Marines. It's a foreboding moment for all the Marines, and while this fight isn't quite the animation and special effects masterpiece a lot of modern One Piece fights are, it does make up for it with how strong it made Whitebeard look. It's not quite Madara versus an army level in terms of being methodical destruction, tanked, and the fact that Whitebeard did all this by pure physical strength is nothing short of amazing. No devil fruit and all. Heck, he didn't even touch the Marines. It was such a boss moment when he rejected all help and proceeded to do all of this. Yoshimura versus the CCG is a similarly cool fight. There's been a trend of one versus many battles so far, hasn't it? Next in line is Yoshimura taking on the CCG from Tokyo Ghoul. I haven't even featured Tokyo Ghoul as much in my newer videos, and I think that the whole one-eyed owl storyline is one of the more engaging ones I've seen in the anime. That largely has to do with how, in hindsight, I looked at Yoshimura and his relation with his daughter and the one-eyed owl identity. So in this battle, Yoshimura takes on the form of the one-eyed owl and battles the CCG. Like the Whitebeard one, this really sold how strong Yoshimura is even at his age. Despite being outnumbered, he masterfully parried and overcame everything thrown at him. Even a wounded Yoshimura continued being such a tough foe to overcome, and when he finally fell at the rooftop, he'd taken down and injured a lot of the CCG along the way. The story's not over at that point, but Yoshimura's badass last stand was. He did give us a show on the way out though. Gintoki takes on Hosen in this entry. Hosen may not be the most popular Gintama villain, being prominently featured only in one arc. Still, he made the most of the limited time in the spotlight. Well, I guess we should expect nothing less than that from the former Yato King, one who managed to stomp Gintoki in their first encounter. He pretty much had the battle won, curb stomping Gintoki like he was nothing. Not even our hero's second wind was enough to prevent him from getting struck and nearly crushed by this retired badass.
That's why he's the GOAT!
The next encounter had more people involved and was a more even affair. But if this second series of connected fights doesn't show how strong Hosen really is, then I don't know what will. Yeah, I know he's not Utsuro tier overpowered, but with the insane durability and fighting prowess current Hosen has, people should always get excited at the thought of prime Hosen battling against Gintama's heavyweights, even if that all remains in the realm of fantasy. Garo finds himself in a tough one against the brothers Bang and Bomb. When Garo set off to hunt heroes, he thought that he'd have it easy. After all, it's been nothing but success for him, as every hero in his way ended up being nothing but a small bump in the road. However, his rampage also attracted the attention of Bang and Bomb, and the two forces finally collide just as Garo was in the process of battling Genos. And contrary to expectations, the two brothers were actually winning. Showing off what they're capable of even in their old age, the two combined their martial arts to attack Garo and prevent him from getting any major attacks of his own. All he could do was to momentarily force the two to back off before Phoenix Man interrupted the fight. It's really a cool twist to see these old men hold their own as well. Anyone savvy enough with the tropes and cliches of anime would have thought that these two would put up a fight before getting brushed aside by the villain that's being pushed. But they actually did well, and might as well have won this encounter, solidifying their status as some of the strongest heroes in the series. And if you're liking these scenes of old characters showing that they've still got it, you might want to drop a like on the video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check it out later for more videos that you might enjoy. Now, this next one's a heartbreaker. And yes, I'm definitely talking about Jiraiya versus Pain. Now, I've intentionally placed this one here so it contrasts with the bang and bomb fight. Whereas the previous one subverted expectations, this ended up following it to a T, with Jiraiya biting it in this encounter with pain. But you just have to watch it and see how good the fight is, and this is a fight that proves that even if you know what's gonna happen, it's the execution and the emotional stakes that really matter. This is by far the perfect way for Jiraiya to go. We all knew he would pass the torch to Naruto someday, but we didn't know that he'd have this amazing performance to go with it. After handily defeating Conan, Jiraiya proceeded to defeat multiple pains one after another. He pulled out everything from his bag of tricks and even looked like he was about to overcome the odds and pull off a miracle. Of course, it wasn't to be. But I couldn't have asked for a better way to go out for our favourite pervy sage. It's one of the strongest moments in Naruto, and one that hits even harder for people who've been following the journey ever since. King Bradley vs Scar is also a legendary moment. Despite how he looks, King Bradley is a grizzled veteran, an old man who's been through the worst. One of the most powerful characters in the whole of FMA. It's only fitting that he makes his last stand against Scar, a survivor of the genocide he instigated. It was at this point that Wrath found a perfect final opponent for him, and their battle was one to talk about. Bradley at this point was a shell of himself and was beginning to deteriorate as the battle rages on. However, he still proved to be more than a match for Scar, and despite the two being presented as being on par, such notions were thrown out the longer the battle went on, with King Bradley even looking to be on a fast track to win the battle outright. Things would take a turn, however, but even in the most crucial part of the fight, even with his arms blown off, he still manages to take Scar along with him right after confirming his philosophical convictions. This is King Bradley at the end of his life. Still a total badass and a powerhouse that needed all sorts of plot to finally be put down. What a beast. Yamamoto vs Yuha blew up the Bleach fan community. When the 1000-year Blood War Arc's anime adaptation was confirmed, Bleach fans were excited. Not only will they get an adaptation of the series' final arc, they'll also be able to see some of the most intense fights in the series in anime form. When the anime hit, it more than blew away all expectations. Extended scenes, a consistent tense atmosphere, and fights that more than surpassed their manga counterparts. Case in point, Yamamoto vs Yuha. This is already one of the high points in the first part of the arc, as we see the final confrontation of the two leaders of the warring factions. It's also where we saw Yamamoto's Bankai unveiled after years of anticipation, but the fight we got in the anime was even better. Amazing art, animation, and music made the whole thing feel a lot more tense and breathtaking than the manga could.
And I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
You really could feel the impact and the love the anime team gave to the series with this fight alone, and it's rightfully one of the best episodes in the first core. Props to the anime team for masterfully recreating this fight and adding some more scenes like the flashbacks of the old Gote, stuff that we didn't get to see in the manga. Netero vs Meruem will finish up the list pretty nicely. It's no secret that Hunter x Hunter is one of my favourite anime of all time. That's why it just feels right to feature another mentor swan song, especially after we had that Jiraiya moment earlier. Netero vs Meruem, in my opinion, is the highlight of the Chimera Ant arc as far as fights go. We could make a case for the multiple times Gon got to shine this arc, but in terms of the actual fighting, I think it's this one that takes the cake. That's just how it is when two characters who are at the top of the totem pole get pitted against each other. Netero vs Meruem was full of spectacle, with each fighter giving their all in this deathmatch, as they should do. While I didn't think that Netero would be able to defeat Meruem, the way he showed off his abilities in the fight made a believer out of millions of Hunter x Hunter fans that day. The show wasn't even hiding how Meruem wasn't even bothered by Netero's hardest efforts, but at least we got a memorable farewell out of it. I think this fight isn't as tear-jerking as the Jiraiya one just by a hair's width. Point being that next to the Naruto one, this one definitely takes the cake as one of my favourite mentor farewells. And that, my friend, is my top old man fights in anime. How about yours? Tell me what your favorite old character fights are in anime. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so don't forget to drop by the comment section for feedback. Or actually, you can drop by our social media with all links provided in the description box. Whatever the case, I thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you next time, and I'll be waiting on you in the next video.